Where are we?
We're on his boat.
Whose boat?
I don't think you want to know.
Getting into the psyche of Tucker, I gotta know what you did to put yourself in the mind space of a character that is so psychotic and also has such implied backstory with what his motives are and what makes him tick.
Well, I wish I could say I lived on a boat for 6 months and, you know, alienated myself from society. But mostly it was I drank a bunch of beer and then just really tried to get into the head of this like wounded child. Truly, I mean you know, these kind of evil ideas, his like obsessions, and this sort of fetishized thing around his killings that he carries out isn't necessarily something you can prep too much. But I digest a lot of true crime anyway, and so I feel like I'm always like somewhere in the mind of like, you know, sick individuals because it's entertaining to me. And so I don't know, that stuff comes by way of your circumstances when you got to carry it out in the film and play that stuff. But as far as developing him, it was all about the child, you know, that inner child, and understanding a sense of like where his like trauma comes from and that wound that he hasn't healed yet. And I think if you get a grasp of that, then you start to understand and believe where it might go, and if you can convince yourself, then you're on the path to creating something believable for audiences as well.
Absolutely, and you infuse a lot of charisma and charm into these roles. I remember early in your career, you know, the Divergence of the world, the Jack Reachers of the world, even what you did with Terminator, these were very serious characters. And then Captain Boomerang came along in Suicide Squad in 2016, and I feel like that kind of like maybe reshaped how you approach these characters. And I saw a little bit of Boomerang in Tucker as well. Do you feel like that charisma and charm helps you just kind of like, I don't know, execute a character to infuse your personality a little
like
more?
Loosens things up, you know.
Yeah.
And if that's on the page and you get to have some fun with it, then I feel like things get a little more dynamic. I mean, this film is like terrifying in parts, but also like wildly entertaining, and there's a lot of laughs, and we need that, you know. It's good to have that light and shade and create a bit of balance and have some contrast within it, because, you know, it'd be grueling otherwise to just be like buried in the sort of survival thriller aspects, and so I think Sean's done a wonderful job with balancing that out, and certainly you know, these guys giving me a character that has you know, all these kind of layers and space to like move around is fun for me. It was a really fulfilling experience.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned Boomerang. You were in the headlines recently where you said that James might have not closed the door completely.
You can't say anything these days.
I know, it's crazy.
I actually like should have bit my tongue, because by the way, James hasn't said anything to me about anything, so that might have been a bit of you know, a bit of clickbait, but listen, all I've ever said is if someone called, I'll show up and do that role again.
Is it only for Boomerang though, or are you open to other roles in the DC world?
I mean, sure, whatever. I'm open to anything. We can always have a conversation, you know. But I think where that's coming from is like, that's just a role that I loved playing, and you know, it was sad to give him up. So if there's any more mileage to milk out of it, you know, I'm your guy.
Yeah, we still got to see Boomerang and Flash. We only got that one little tease in Suicide Squad.
Man?
So
we'll get there.
Hopefully, I'll wrap with this. A little bit of a spoilery question, Teeter, if you must. Do you think Tucker fears sharks?
Yes. Yeah, I think he does. I think there's he's convinced that he's connected to them, but you know, he is the victim of an attack that we touch on, and I think most of his this bind that he's created for himself is actually a mask, and I think there's a very scared child within him, and a lot of that still has to do with his vulnerability in the water.
Awesome. I'm excited to rewatch it knowing that lens that you have on it. Jai, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Welcome aboard.